You know how some people say your graduation day is supposed to be the best day of your life? Well, mine was about to become the most embarrassing day of my entire existence, and it hadn't even started yet. I'm talking about the kind of embarrassment that gets passed down through generations. The kind your grandkids will hear about at Thanksgiving dinner. The kind that makes you want to change your name, move to another state, and pretend you never had a family. My name is Devin Richardson, and I was about to graduate summa cum laude from Howard University with a degree in engineering. 4 years of sleepless nights, ramen noodles that I'd eaten so much I could probably write a cookbook about, and professors who thought mercy was a foreign concept had finally paid off. My parents flew in from Atlanta, my little sister Janae came up from Spelman, and my grandmother drove all the way from Virginia just to see me walk across that stage. But there was one person I specifically did not invite. One person who, if I'm being honest, I hoped would somehow forget the date, lose the address, get abducted by aliens, or develop a sudden case of amnesia before she could make it to DC. My Auntie Lorraine. Now, before you judge me and think I'm some kind of terrible nephew who doesn't appreciate his family, let me explain. Let me paint you a full picture of who Auntie Lorraine is and why the mere thought of her showing up to my graduation made me break out in hives. I love my auntie. I really, truly do. She helped raise me when my parents were working double shifts. She taught me how to ride a bike, how to make her famous peach cobbler that won 3 blue ribbons at the county fair, and how to stand up for myself when kids at school tried to test me. Auntie Lorraine was there for every birthday, every Christmas, every moment that mattered. She was the one who showed up to my middle school talent show when my parents got stuck in traffic. She was the one who stayed up with me until 3 in the morning, helping me finish my senior year science project. She was the one who slipped me $20 every time she saw me and told me to buy myself something nice. Auntie Lorraine loved hard. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that Auntie Lorraine had one fatal flaw. One characteristic that overshadowed all her good qualities. One trait that made every family gathering feel like a ticking time bomb. She could not, under any circumstances, let anybody else have a moment. Not one single, solitary moment. When my cousin Brittany got married last summer, Auntie Lorraine showed up to the wedding in a dress that was somehow whiter than the bride's. I'm talking snow white, pearl white, the kind of white that made you squint when you looked at it. She claimed she didn't know the rule about not wearing white to weddings, but my mama says she bought that dress specifically for the occasion. During the reception, Auntie Lorraine made sure to position herself in every single photo, even the ones that were supposed to be just the bride and groom. When it came time for toast, she grabbed the microphone and talked for 17 minutes straight about her own dating history, her failed engagement in the 80s, and how marriage is a sacred institution that young people today don't appreciate enough. The DJ literally had to cut her mic off, and even then, she just kept talking louder without it. When my Uncle Bernard got promoted to senior manager at his job after 15 years of hard work, we threw him a celebration dinner at our favorite restaurant. The whole family was there. We had balloons, a cake, the works. Uncle Bernard stood up to say a few words about his journey, about how he'd started at the company as an entry-level clerk and worked his way up. He got about 3 sentences in before Auntie Lorraine interrupted him. "You know," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I could have been a CEO if I had just applied myself. I had 3 job offers right out of high school. 3. But I chose to stay home and help Mama with the house because that's what family does. I sacrificed my career for family." She went on like that for 20 minutes while Uncle Bernard just sat there, his moment completely stolen. His celebration dinner turned into the Auntie Lorraine show. When my little sister Janae got accepted to Spelman with a partial scholarship, we were all so excited. Janae had worked her butt off her senior year. She'd pulled her GPA up from a 3.2 to a 3.8. She'd volunteered at the community center every weekend. She'd written an essay that made my mama cry when she read it. We went to Red Lobster to celebrate Janae's favorite restaurant. Janae was glowing. She was talking about her plans, about joining the debate team, about maybe studying abroad her junior year. She was happy, really, genuinely happy. And then Auntie Lorraine started talking. "You know, Janae, that's wonderful and all. But back in my day, I got accepted to 3 HBCUs. 3. Spelman wanted me. Bennett wanted me. Even Howard sent me a letter. but I had to turn them all down because Mama needed help at home and somebody had to be responsible. She said it like Janae's accomplishment was somehow less impressive than her fictional college acceptances from 40 years ago. She said it like going to college was easy and staying home was the real sacrifice. Janae's smile faded. The light in her eyes dimmed a little bit, and I watched my little sister's celebration dinner turn into another episode of Auntie Lorraine's imaginary glory days. The woman was a professional moment stealer, a certified scene hijacker, a card-carrying member of the Make It About Me Club, the president of the I Can Do It Better Society, the chairwoman of the Nobody Appreciates My Sacrifices Foundation. So when my graduation started approaching, I made a decision. I was going to protect my moment. I was going to have one day, just one day, where I could celebrate my accomplishment without it turning into the Auntie Lorraine show. I didn't send her a graduation announcement. I told my mama not to mention the date. I told my daddy to keep it on the low. I even told Janae that if she breathed one word to Auntie Lorraine, I would tell everybody about her secret boyfriend from Morehouse that she'd been hiding from the family for 6 months. My plan was foolproof, airtight. There was no way Auntie Lorraine could show up if she didn't know when or where it was happening. But I forgot one crucial detail. I forgot about the power of social media. I forgot that my mama, bless her heart, couldn't keep a secret if her life depended on it. And I especially forgot that my mama loved Facebook more than she loved oxygen. 3 days before graduation, I was in my apartment packing up the last of my things when my phone started buzzing like crazy. Text after text after text. My group chat with my boys from the engineering program was going off. Yo, Dev, your family's wild. Bruh, I just saw your mama's post. Your auntie coming? I opened Facebook with a sense of dread, and there it was. A post from my mama's account at 10:30 in the morning. So proud of my baby boy. Can't wait to see Devin walk across that stage at Howard on Saturday. My first child with a college degree. Summa cum laude. God is good. All things are possible. I'm so blessed. Couldn't have done it without Jesus. Thank you, Lord. She'd tagged me. She'd tagged my daddy. She'd tagged Janae. She'd tagged my grandmother. She'd used 17 exclamation points and 6 crying face emojis. And within 30 minutes, Auntie Lorraine had commented, I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it for the world. That's my nephew. I helped raise that boy. I'll be in the front row cheering. I almost threw my phone across the room. I almost put my fist through the wall. I almost screamed so loud that my neighbors would call the cops. Instead, I took a deep breath, counted to 10, and called my mama. She answered on the first ring. Hey baby, did you see my post? I'm just so excited I couldn't help myself. Ma, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Why would you post that? Post what, baby? About my graduation. I specifically said don't tell Auntie Lorraine. My mama got quiet for a second. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. Then she said, Devin, that's my sister. I can't not tell her about your graduation. That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be Christian. Family is family. Ma, you know how she is. She's gonna make a scene. She always makes a scene. She can't help herself. It's like she's allergic to letting other people have their moment. Boy, don't be dramatic. Your auntie loves you. She just wants to celebrate with the family. She wants to be there for your big day. Celebrate? Ma, when Brittany got married, Auntie Lorraine tried to give a toast and ended up talking for 15 minutes about her own dating history and her failed engagement and how young people don't appreciate marriage anymore. The DJ had to cut her mic off and she still kept talking. Brittany was in tears, and not the good kind of tears. My mama laughed. That genuinely made me angry. That was funny though, she said. You gotta admit, your auntie is entertaining. It wasn't funny, Ma. It was Brittany's wedding. It was supposed to be Brittany's day, and Auntie Lorraine made it about herself. She always makes everything about herself. Look, Devin, my mama said, her voice getting that tone that meant the conversation was over. I'm not uninviting your auntie. She's family. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? It's a graduation ceremony at the National Mall. There's gonna be thousands of people there. There's gonna be security. There's a program. Everything's organized down to the minute. Your auntie can't hijack a whole graduation ceremony. She'll just be another proud family member in the crowd. Famous last words. I spent the next 3 days in a state of constant anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. My roommate Jerome kept asking me what was wrong, and I couldn't even explain it to him. How do you explain to someone that you're terrified of your own aunt showing up to your graduation? Man, you're tripping, Jerome said. It's just your auntie. What's she gonna do, rush the stage? I didn't answer him because, honestly, I wouldn't put it past her. The night before graduation, I had a nightmare. In the dream, I was walking across the stage to get my diploma, and suddenly, Auntie Lorraine appeared out of nowhere, dressed in my cap and gown, accepting my diploma for me while giving a speech about how she deserved the degree more than I did because she'd helped me with my homework in elementary school. I woke up in a cold sweat at 4 in the morning. The morning of graduation, I woke up with a knot in my stomach the size of a bowling ball. I kept telling myself it would be fine. The ceremony was at the National Mall. There would be thousands of people there. Security would be tight. The program was planned down to the minute. Auntie Lorraine would just be another face in the crowd. She'd clap when I walked across the stage, take some pictures, and that would be it. I was so wrong. I got to the staging area early, all dressed in my cap and gown, ready to line up with my fellow graduates. The energy was incredible. People were taking pictures, hugging, crying, happy tears. Some people had decorated their caps with inspirational quotes or thank you messages to their families. One guy had drawn the Black Panther symbol on his. A girl from my calculus class had written "First Generation" on hers in gold letters. This was it. The moment we'd all been working toward. 4 years of papers, exams, late nights in the library, group projects with people who didn't do their share of the work, professors who graded like they were trying to destroy our self-esteem. All of it was leading to this one day. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Janae. Dev, you might want to brace yourself. Auntie Lorraine just showed up wearing a purple suit and a hat that's bigger than a satellite dish. I'm talking like Kentucky Derby big, like church lady who wants everybody to know she's there big. She looks like she's going to a royal wedding, not a graduation, and she's wearing a sash that says "Proud Auntie" in glitter letters. People are staring. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Of course she did. Of course she was wearing a sash. Why wouldn't she be wearing a sash? Another text came through, this time from my cousin Brittany. Yo, your auntie just tried to sit in the reserved family section up front and got into an argument with an usher. She told him she's a VIP because she practically raised you and she deserves to be in the front row. The usher tried to explain that those seats are reserved for parents only, and she said, I am his parent. I raised that boy. His mama was always working, and somebody had to make sure he ate dinner and did his homework. Security almost escorted her out, but my mama talked them down. Now she's sitting in the second row, but she keeps standing up and looking around like she's surveying her kingdom. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to transfer to a school in another country and start my life over. I wanted to fake my own death and assume a new identity, but I couldn't. I had to get through this ceremony. I just had to stay focused, walk across that stage, get my diploma, shake some hands, smile for the camera, and then deal with whatever chaos Auntie Lorraine created afterward. The ceremony started right on time. The band played the processional. The deans and faculty processed in wearing their colorful academic regalia. The university president welcomed everyone. The board of trustees gave remarks. A student speaker, a girl from the School of Communications, gave a beautiful, inspiring speech about resilience and excellence and carrying forward the legacy of Howard University. Everything was going perfectly. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. They started calling names for the College of Engineering. My row stood up. We walked single file toward the stage. I could see my family in the crowd. My mama was crying, dabbing her eyes with the tissue. My daddy was holding up his phone, recording everything, probably live streaming it to Facebook. Janae was waving at me, giving me 2 thumbs up. My grandmother was sitting next to her, smiling that proud grandmother smile that made my heart feel full. And then I saw her, Auntie Lorraine, in her purple suit and her ridiculous hat that was blocking the view of at least 3 people sitting behind her, standing up in her seat, waving at me like she was trying to flag down a rescue helicopter on a deserted island. I smiled and waved back, praying that would be enough. praying that she would sit down and be quiet and let me have my moment. They called my name, Devin Alexander Richardson, summa cum laude, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. The crowd applauded. I walked across the stage, my heart pounding, my hands shaking slightly. I shook the dean's hand. I grabbed my diploma in its leather folder. The photographer took my picture. This was it, my moment. 4 years of hard work culminating in this single, perfect moment. And then I heard it. That's my nephew. That's my baby. I raised that boy. That's my baby right there. Summa cum laude. That's Latin. It means he's smart. I taught him how to read. Auntie Lorraine was screaming from her seat, hands cupped around her mouth like a megaphone, her voice carrying across the entire National Mall. People were turning around. Other families were staring. Security guards were starting to move in her direction. My mama was trying to pull her down into her seat. My daddy had his hand over his face. Janae looked like she wanted to crawl under her chair, but I kept walking. I smiled for the photographer. I descended the stage steps. I made it back to my seat without tripping, which felt like a miracle given how mortified I was. Crisis averted. Or so I thought. The ceremony continued. More names were called. More students crossed the stage. More families applauded and cheered and took pictures. After all the names were called and all the diplomas were distributed, the university president took the podium to give the closing remarks. This was usually a short, formal speech about entering the world as proud Howard graduates, about making a difference in our communities, about carrying forward the legacy of excellence that Howard represented. The president began. Graduates, families, distinguished guests, it has been an honor to preside over this commencement ceremony. As you leave this place and enter the world, remember that you carry with you not only a degree, but also a responsibility too. And that's when it happened. I don't know how she got past security. I don't know how she made it from her seat in the family section all the way to the stage. I don't know if she created a distraction or if she just moved with the confidence of someone who believed the rules didn't apply to her. But somehow, some way, Auntie Lorraine appeared at the base of the stage steps, climbing toward the podium in her purple suit and her giant hat. At first, I thought maybe she was sick, maybe she needed help, maybe she was having a medical emergency. But no, she was moving with purpose. She was on a mission. Her face was determined. Her eyes were focused on that microphone like it was the Holy Grail. The president stopped mid-sentence, confused. An administrator tried to intercept her, but Auntie Lorraine waved her off like she was swatting a fly. "Excuse me, baby. I just need 1 second," Auntie Lorraine said, her voice already projecting through the microphone system. "I promise I won't be long." The entire stadium went silent. 8,000 people, dead quiet. You could have heard a pin drop in the grass. My mama gasped. My daddy put his head in his hands. Janae whispered, "Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. This is really happening. This is really actually happening." My grandmother just shook her head and said, "Lord have mercy." Security guards were converging on the stage from all directions, but they seemed hesitant to physically remove an older black woman in church attire from a graduation ceremony in front of thousands of witnesses and probably dozens of cameras. The university president stepped aside, looking absolutely bewildered, probably wondering if this was some kind of elaborate prank. And Auntie Lorraine, completely unbothered by the chaos she was creating, adjusted the microphone to her height, cleared her throat, smoothed down her purple suit jacket, touched her hat to make sure it was still perfectly positioned, and began. "Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lorraine Marie Henderson, and I just want to say a few words about my nephew, Devin Alexander Richardson, who just graduated summa cum laude with a degree in mechanical engineering. I wanted to sink into the earth. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. I wanted to be transported to another dimension where this wasn't happening." Around me, my fellow graduates were staring. Some were confused. Some were trying not to laugh. Some were recording on their phones. Now, I know this isn't on the program. Auntie Lorraine continued, her voice strong and clear through the sound system. And I know some of y'all are probably wondering who this crazy lady is and why she's interrupting the ceremony. But I feel like y'all need to know the full story. See, when Devin was 7 years old, his parents were working 2 jobs each. I'm talking my sister was doing overnight shifts at the hospital, 12 hours at a time, and my brother-in-law was driving trucks cross country. sometimes gone for weeks. Somebody had to raise this boy. Somebody had to make sure he was okay. Oh God. She was really doing this. She was really giving a whole speech. I picked Devin up from school every single day. Every single day. Rain, shine, snow, didn't matter. I was there at 3:15 when that bell rang. I made him do his homework at my kitchen table before he could watch TV or play outside. I made sure he ate a hot meal, not that microwave nonsense. I'm talking real food, vegetables, protein. I taught him his multiplication tables when he was struggling in 3rd grade. We sat at that table until midnight sometimes, going over 7 times 8, 8 times 9, until he had them memorized. I helped him with his science fair projects. I was the one who stayed up with him building that volcano in 5th grade. We went to 3 different stores trying to find the right kind of vinegar and baking soda. The audience was listening now. Some people were nodding. Others were looking around, still confused about how this was happening, but seemingly interested in what she had to say. Security guards had formed a perimeter around the stage, but they weren't moving to remove her. Even they seemed curious about where this was going. The university president was standing off to the side with the other administrators, whispering among themselves, probably trying to decide if they should stop her or just let her finish. And Auntie Lorraine just kept going, her voice gaining strength, her confidence building with every word. When Devin got his first B in middle school, in math class of all subjects, I sat him down and I said, "Baby, you're better than a B. You're an A student. Let's figure out what went wrong." We looked at his test. We went through every problem he got wrong. We figured out that he wasn't showing his work. The answers were right, but the teacher couldn't see how he got there. So I taught him to slow down, to write out every step, to show his process. Next test, A, and you know what? He never got another B in math again. Not in middle school, not in high school, and clearly not here at Howard. A few people in the crowd clapped. Auntie Lorraine smiled and nodded like she was accepting an award. When Devin was in high school and he started thinking about colleges, I was the one who drove him to all his campus visits. Me and him got in my old Honda Accord and we went to Howard, to Morehouse, to Hampton, to Tuskegee, to North Carolina A&T. We stayed in budget motels that barely had working air conditioning. We ate at Waffle House because it was cheap and filling. We drove for hours, just talking about his dreams, about what he wanted to do with his life. This boy wanted to be an engineer. He wanted to build things that would help people, bridges, buildings, machines, things that would last. And I told him, "Baby, if that's what you want to do, then you better work harder than everybody else, because the world is watching and they're waiting for you to fail. They're waiting for you to give them a reason to say you didn't deserve to be here. So don't give them that reason. Be excellent. Be undeniable." My embarrassment was starting to shift into something else, something I couldn't quite name. My eyes were getting watery. So when Devin got accepted to Howard, I cried. I cried real tears, not these little dainty tears, but ugly crying, the kind where your face gets all scrunched up and your nose runs. I cried because I knew he was going to make it. I knew he was going to be somebody. I knew that all those hours at my kitchen table, all those campus visits, all those pep talks when he was feeling discouraged, all of it was worth it. And y'all see him up here today, summa cum laude, looking good in that cap and gown, about to go out into the world and do amazing things. That didn't just happen by accident. That took work. That took sacrifice. Not just from him, but from our whole family. Auntie Lorraine paused and took a breath. The crowd was completely silent, hanging on her every word. See, what y'all don't know, what most people don't know, is that Devin didn't invite me to this graduation. He didn't send me an announcement. He told his mama not to tell me. He told his sister to keep it a secret. He did everything he could to make sure I wouldn't be here today. Oh no. She was really going there. She was really calling me out in front of 8,000 people. And I'm not mad at him for that, Auntie Lorraine continued, her voice getting softer. I'm really not, because I know why he did it. He did it because he thought I was going to embarrass him. He thought I was going to make a scene. He thought I was going to turn his special day into the Lorraine show. And you know what? He was absolutely right. A few people in the crowd laughed nervously. I do have a habit of making things about me. I do talk too much. I do take up space that ain't mine to take. When my niece Brittany got married last summer, I wore a white dress to her wedding and talked through half the reception. When my brother got promoted at his job, I spent his celebration dinner talking about my own career opportunities that I supposedly gave up. When Devin's sister got accepted to Spelman, I couldn't even let her enjoy the moment without bringing up my own college acceptances from 40 years ago. And I've been doing it for so long, I didn't even realize how much it hurt the people I love. I didn't realize that every time I took somebody else's moment and made it mine, I was stealing something precious from them, something they can never get back. The stadium was completely silent now. Even the security guards had stopped moving. Everyone was listening. But here's what I want Devin to know, Auntie Lorraine said, looking directly at me in the crowd, her eyes finding mine among the hundreds of graduates in identical caps and gowns. I didn't raise you so I could take credit. I didn't help you with your homework and drive you to campus visits and sit up with you when you were stressed about exams because I wanted recognition. I did it because I love you. I did it because family takes care of family. I did it because somebody raised me when I needed it. And that's what we do. We lift each other up. We pass it on. We make sure the next generation has a better shot than we did. Tears were rolling down my face now. I couldn't help it. I couldn't stop them. So I'm not up here to steal your moment, baby. I'm up here to give it back to you. This is your day. This is your accomplishment. You worked hard. You earned this. You stayed up late, studying. You sacrificed. You pushed through when things got difficult. You made the dean's list every semester. You joined study groups. You went to office hours. You did the work. And I am so proud of you. Prouder than I've ever been of anything in my entire life. Auntie Lorraine wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm going to step off this stage now, and I'm going to let the president finish what he was saying before I rudely interrupted him. But before I go, I want to say one more thing. Not just to Devin, but to all you graduates out there. Listen to me real good now. Success ain't just about what you do for yourself. It's about what you do for the people who helped you get there. It's about recognizing that nobody makes it alone. Nobody. We all need somebody to believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves. We all need somebody to push us when we want to give up. We all need somebody to remind us who we are when we forget. She paused and looked out over the crowd of graduates. And if the person who helped you happens to be a little loud, a little extra, a little too much sometimes, well, that's just love in overdrive, baby. That's just love that don't know how to be quiet. That's just love that refuses to sit down and be polite when it sees something worth celebrating. Don't run from it. Don't hide it. Don't be embarrassed by it. Embrace it. Because one day, and this day will come sooner than you think, you're going to be the person who's too much for somebody else. You're going to be the one who loves too loud, who cares too hard, who wants to celebrate too big. And you're going to hope, you're going to pray that they love you anyway, that they see past your flaws and recognize your heart. The entire stadium erupted in applause. People were standing, clapping, cheering. Some were crying. Parents were nodding. Other graduates were wiping their eyes. Even the university president was smiling, his earlier confusion replaced with what looked like genuine appreciation. Auntie Lorraine handed the microphone back to the president, nodded to him like she was passing the baton in a relay race, adjusted her hat one more time, and walked down the stage steps with her head held high. She returned to her seat like nothing unusual had happened, like she'd just given a scheduled speech instead of hijacking an entire graduation ceremony. The president returned to the podium, composed himself, and said with a smile, "Well, I think we can all agree that Miss Henderson makes an excellent point. Our graduates today are here because of the love and support of their families and communities. Let us give all of them a round of applause." The crowd erupted again. The ceremony concluded shortly after. We threw our caps in the air. We hugged each other. We took pictures. We celebrated. But I barely registered any of it. My mind was still processing what had just happened. After the ceremony officially ended, I made my way through the crowd, looking for my family. People kept stopping me to congratulate me, to take pictures, to ask me about my plans after graduation. I smiled and thanked them and tried to be polite, but all I could think about was finding Auntie Lorraine. I found them all together near the edge of the lawn. My mama was crying happy tears. My daddy was grinning from ear to ear, Janae was laughing about something. My grandmother was fanning herself with her program. And there was Auntie Lorraine, in her purple suit and her ridiculous hat, surrounded by other family members who had made the trip, taking pictures, laughing, enjoying herself like she hadn't just stolen the microphone at a major university graduation ceremony. When she saw me, her face changed. The laughter faded. Her expression became serious, almost worried. "I'm sorry, baby," she said before I could say anything. "I know you didn't want me to do that. I know you're probably so embarrassed right now. I couldn't help myself. I had so much I wanted to say, and it just came pouring out. Your mama's probably going to kill me. The university probably going to ban me from campus. Security probably got my picture up in their office like a wanted poster." I didn't say anything. I just pulled her into the biggest hug I'd ever given anyone in my entire life. I wrapped my arms around her and held on tight, her hat getting crushed between us, and I cried into her shoulder like I was 7 years old again. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice breaking. "Thank you for everything. Thank you for raising me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for showing up today, even though I didn't invite you. Thank you for embarrassing me in the best possible way." She hugged me back, just as tight, her hands patting my back the way she used to when I was little and I'd scraped my knee or had a bad day at school. "You don't ever have to thank me, Devin. You're my nephew. You're my baby. Loving you is the easiest thing I've ever done. Easiest and the best." We stood there for a long time, just holding each other, while people took pictures around us and the sun shined down on the National Mall, and the reality of what had just happened started to sink in. My mama came over and put her arms around both of us. Then my daddy joined in, then Janae, then my grandmother, then my Uncle Bernard and his wife, then Brittany and her husband, then more cousins and aunts and uncles. We stood there, all of us together, a circle of love and laughter and gratitude, and I realized that this moment right here was more important than any diploma. Later that evening, after we'd taken approximately 500 pictures and my face hurt from smiling, we all went to dinner at Ooh's and Ah's, this soul food restaurant that my mama had been talking about visiting since we arrived in DC. We took over the entire back section. There must have been 20 of us crammed around several tables pushed together, plates of fried chicken and mac and cheese and collard greens and cornbread spread out in front of us. And of course, Auntie Lorraine had to tell the story of the graduation speech. She told it 3 different times over the course of the meal, each version more dramatic than the last, adding details that definitely didn't happen, like security guards applauding her as she left the stage and the university president asking for her phone number so he could invite her to speak at future ceremonies. "Girl, you are so extra," my mama said, laughing so hard she had tears running down her face. "They almost arrested you." That security guard had his hand on his walkie-talkie ready to call for backup. "He was not about to arrest me," Auntie Lorraine said, waving her hand dismissively. That man understood. He had tears in his eyes when I was talking. I saw him wiping his face. He was wiping his face because he was sweating trying to figure out how to get you off that stage without causing a riot, my daddy said. Everyone laughed. Even Auntie Lorraine laughed. Janae leaned over to me and whispered, "You know this is going to be a family legend, right? Like, your kids' kids are going to hear about this." "I know," I said. "And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because here's what I realized sitting at that table, surrounded by my family, listening to Auntie Lorraine tell her embellished version of events for the 4th time. I had spent so much energy trying to keep her away, trying to protect my moment, trying to make sure everything went according to plan. But if she hadn't been there, if she hadn't stolen that microphone, if she hadn't given that speech, my graduation would have been just like everybody else's. Formulaic, predictable, forgettable. Instead, it became something else entirely. It became a moment that reminded me where I came from and who helped me get there. It became a moment that forced me to acknowledge that my success wasn't just mine. It belonged to my family, to everyone who had sacrificed and supported and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Over the next few days, the video of Auntie Lorraine's speech started going viral. Someone had recorded it and posted it on Twitter, and it spread like wildfire. My phone was blowing up with notifications. The video had hundreds of thousands of views. People were commenting, sharing, stitching it with their own stories about family members who loved too loud. This is my mama at every family event. I felt this in my soul. Grandmothers be like this. crying real tears right now. This is beautiful. I need this energy in my life. The university even released a statement saying they appreciated Auntie Lorraine's heartfelt and spontaneous expression of family pride, and that while they couldn't officially endorse interrupting the ceremony, they understood the sentiment and hoped all their graduates felt as loved and supported as I clearly was. Auntie Lorraine became a minor celebrity. She was interviewed by a local news station. She was invited to speak at a community center event about the importance of family. She ate it up, of course, but this time it didn't bother me because I realized that this was just who she was. She was loud. She was extra. She took up space. And instead of being embarrassed by it, I needed to appreciate it. A few weeks after graduation, after I'd moved back to Atlanta and started my new job at an engineering firm, I went to visit Auntie Lorraine at her house. It was a Saturday afternoon, and she was in her garden, wearing a wide-brimmed sun hat and gloves, planting tomatoes. "Well, well, well," she said when she saw me walking up the driveway. "Look who decided to visit his old auntie, the famous graduate. The viral sensation, the boy who put me on the map." "I put you on the map?" I said, laughing. "Auntie, you hijacked my graduation ceremony." "I enhanced your graduation ceremony," she corrected. "There's a difference." I sat down on her porch steps and watched her work. We were quiet for a moment, just enjoying the warm afternoon and the sound of birds chirping in the trees. "Can I ask you something?" I said finally. "Of course, baby. Ask me anything." "Did you plan that speech? Like, did you know you were going to go up there and do that?" Auntie Lorraine stopped digging and looked at me. "Honestly, no. I didn't plan it. I was sitting there watching you walk across that stage, watching you get your diploma, and I just felt this overwhelming feeling. This feeling of pride and love and gratitude. And then the president started talking, and I thought about how nobody was going to mention all the work that went into getting you there. Nobody was going to talk about the homework sessions and the campus visits and the pep talks. Nobody was going to talk about the sacrifice, and I just couldn't let that happen. I couldn't let your moment pass without making sure everybody knew the whole story. "So you stole a microphone." "I borrowed a microphone," she corrected, and I gave it back. We both laughed. "Auntie, I have to tell you something," I said. "I was so mad when I found out you were coming to my graduation. I spent days stressed out about it. I had nightmares about you making a scene. I thought you were going to ruin the whole day." "I know, baby. Your mama told me." "She did?" "Of course she did. She told me you specifically didn't invite me. She told me you were worried I was going to embarrass you. And you know what? I understood. I knew I had a tendency to make things about me. I knew I talked too much at family events. I knew I had stolen other people's moments. And I promised myself I was going to behave. I was going to sit quietly. I was going to just be another proud auntie in the crowd. What happened? I saw your face when you walked across that stage. I saw how happy you were. I saw how proud you were. And I thought about that little 7-year-old boy I used to pick up from school. The one who cried when he got his first C. The one who didn't think he was smart enough for advanced classes. The one who almost gave up on his college applications because he didn't think he'd get in anywhere good. And I realized that boy and this man are the same person. And I needed everybody to know that. I needed everybody to understand that you didn't just wake up one day as a summa cum laude graduate. You became that through hard work and determination and support. And I was part of that support. And I'm not going to apologize for wanting people to know it. I'm not asking you to apologize, Auntie. I'm thanking you. Because you were right. That speech wasn't about you. It was about us. It was about family. It was about love. And I needed to hear it. I needed to be reminded that I didn't do this alone. Auntie Lorraine put down her gardening tools and came to sit beside me on the porch steps. She put her arm around my shoulders and we sat there together, watching the sun start to dip lower in the sky. "You know what the problem is with young people today," she said after a while. "Oh boy, here we go," I said, smiling. "No, listen, the problem is y'all think you gotta do everything by yourself. Y'all think asking for help is weak. Y'all think depending on family is somehow less impressive than being self-made. But baby, there's no such thing as self-made. Every successful person got help from somebody. Every strong person had somebody holding them up. Every person who made it had somebody who believed in them when they didn't believe in themselves. And there's no shame in that. That's not weakness. That's love. That's community. That's what it means to be family. Is that what you were trying to say in your speech? That's exactly what I was trying to say. I just said it in the most extra, dramatic, interrupt the ceremony way possible. Because that's who I am. I'm loud. I'm too much. I take up space. And you know what? I'm not going to apologize for that anymore. I spent too many years making myself smaller, quieter, less than. And you know what it got me? Nothing. So now I'm loud. Now I'm proud. Now I make sure people hear me. And if that embarrasses people, then they can be embarrassed. But at least they'll know the truth. We sat there until the sun set, talking about everything and nothing. She told me stories about my mama when she was young, about my grandmother, about family members who had passed on. She told me about her own dreams and regrets, about opportunities she wished she'd taken and choices she was glad she'd made. And I listened, really listened, not just to the words, but to the love behind them. The fierce, unapologetic, sometimes overwhelming love that had shaped my entire life. A few months later, I was at a work event, a celebration for completing my first major project at the firm. My boss was giving a speech about the team's hard work and dedication. He mentioned my contributions specifically, praising my attention to detail and problem-solving skills. And you know what I thought about? I thought about Auntie Lorraine at my kitchen table, making me show my work on math problems. I thought about her driving me to campus visits. I thought about her telling me I was better than a B. I thought about her standing on that stage at my graduation, claiming her role in my success without apology. And for the first time, instead of being embarrassed by the memory, I was grateful for it. After the work event, I called her. "Hey, Auntie, just wanted to let you know I finished my first big project at work today. My boss gave me a shout out in front of the whole company." "That's wonderful, baby. I'm so proud of you. Did you tell them I helped raise you?" I laughed. "No, Auntie. I didn't hijack my boss's speech to talk about you." "Well, maybe you should have. These people need to know you didn't just appear fully formed as an engineer. You had help. You're right. I did have help. The best help. And I want you to know that I appreciate it. I appreciate you. All of you. Even the parts that embarrass me sometimes." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then I heard her sniffle. "Auntie, are you crying?" "No, I'm not crying. I just got something in my eye. Must be allergies." "Uh-huh. Sure. Okay, fine. I'm crying. You happy now? You made your old auntie cry. I love you, Auntie Lorraine. I love you too, baby. More than you'll ever know." Looking back now, I realized that my graduation day wasn't ruined by Auntie Lorraine stealing the microphone. It was completed by it. Because that moment, as embarrassing as it was, as unplanned as it was, as dramatic and over the top as it was, that moment captured the truth of my journey better than any official speech could have. I didn't walk across that stage alone. I walked across it with every person who had ever believed in me, supported me, pushed me, challenged me, and loved me loud enough for the world to hear. And at the front of that invisible procession, wearing a purple suit and a ridiculous hat, carrying a microphone she had no business taking, was my Auntie Lorraine, the woman who helped raise me, the woman who taught me that love doesn't have to be quiet, the woman who showed me that sometimes the most important thing you can do is show up, speak up, and make sure the people you love know exactly how you feel about them. So here's what I learned that day, what I want to pass on to anybody who's listening. Family ain't perfect, love ain't quiet, and sometimes the people who embarrass you the most are the same people who love you the best. Don't hide them, don't be ashamed of them, don't try to make them smaller so you can feel more comfortable. Embrace them, celebrate them, thank them, because one day, when everything else falls away, when the degrees are hanging on walls and the jobs are just memories and the accomplishments are footnotes in your life story, what's going to matter is the people who loved you loud enough for everybody to hear. The people who showed up even when they weren't invited. The people who climbed on stages they had no business climbing. The people who refused to let your moment pass without making sure the world knew how hard you worked and who helped you get there. Those are your people. That's your family. That's your foundation. And when you find someone who loves you like that, who embarrasses themselves for you, who risks looking foolish just to make sure you feel celebrated, you hold on to them. You appreciate them. You love them back just as loud. My name is Devin Richardson. My auntie stole the mic at my graduation and gave her own speech. and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because she reminded me that success is sweeter when it's shared, that achievements mean more when you acknowledge the village that raised you. That love, real love, the kind that lasts, is loud and proud and unapologetic. So to everyone out there who has an Auntie Lorraine in their life, someone who's too much, too loud, too extra, someone who makes every moment about them even when it's supposed to be about you, here's what I want you to know. They're not trying to steal your shine. They're trying to make sure everybody sees it. They're not trying to take your moment. They're trying to give it context. They're not trying to embarrass you. They're trying to love you in the only way they know how. And that kind of love, messy and imperfect as it is the most valuable thing you'll ever have. So the next time your Auntie Lorraine does something embarrassing, takes up too much space, talks too loud, makes everything about her, instead of getting angry or frustrated or embarrassed, try this. Take a breath, smile, and say thank you. Thank you for loving me loud. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being exactly who you are, even when the world tells you to be smaller, quieter, less. Thank you for stealing the mic at my graduation. It's a story I'll tell for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Like this video if it touched something in you. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about what it means to be human, to be family, and to choose love even when it's complicated. I'll see you next time.